Good morning. We're live at Gear Expo 2017. My name is Randy Stott. I'm the managing editor of Gear Technology magazine. And today I'm pleased to have with me Larry McMillan, who is regional sales manager of Hainbuch. Thanks for joining us, Larry.
Nice to be here.
Today we're going to talk about workholding.
Well, great.
Tell us about the latest workholding and tool holding products that you have on display at the show.
Well, a couple things that I think I should mention, new products. One is what we call our micro mandrel, which goes down to 5 millimeters. And the other would be what I call my job shop mandrels. And the reason I call them a job shop mandrel is because they're an off-the-shelf item, which most of the gear mandrels are usually a special. So.
What are some of the special requirements of workholding for gear cutting applications in general?
Well, probably the main thing is everyone's looking to achieve the most accurate parts that they can. But to do that, you need rigidity. And then the other thing is clearance. You always need clearance for a hob or for a grinding wheel. So those are probably the main things. But I would say accuracy, rigidity go hand in hand together. So.
Okay. What types of mandrel are best suited for high volume applications? And why?
I never like to, I like all my children. So. But I would say the mandrel that we've been using for many years is called a T213. And the reason it's meant for high production, first of all, it's built for that specific part. I mean, you can maybe go up a millimeter or down a millimeter if you, sure. in a range there. But generally speaking, it's meant for a certain grinding wheel or a certain hob or such. And the reason it can go for long periods of time is the process that it's made. We match grind the taper on the bushing to the taper of the mandrel itself. So that eliminates a lot of times contamination that might get in there and helps for a longer time period of having to do maintenance. So.
Okay. And what types are best suited for a job shop environment?
Well, I mean, the 213 are again, for a job shop, but probably not so realistic because the bushings take a little longer to get. And that was the reason why we developed our G211 mandrel, because it kind of hits a wide range. It might not be specific, I mean, there might be some applications that it might not fit into, but generally speaking, it has off-the-shelf mandrels, off-the-shelf bushings, and then generally you have to make your own end stop, which most of these places are machine shops, or we can make them too. So.
What are some of the latest technological advances that might allow for higher productivity or greater work holding force?
So I actually brought a little
show and tell.
Show and tell here, but one of the things you'll see here, it's not a round taper here. So we have a hexagon taper. We've been making hex collets for quite a while, but now we've incorporated this into our mandrels. And the reason for this, there are those jobs that demand a little more rigidity and also to keep the contamination out, because the hex here, these are match ground again. It acts like a wiper, so it keeps the contamination out. But more importantly, the rigidity, and you won't get any radial movement on this. So great grip force. We get about 20% more grip force than you would with a standard round taper mandrel.
Okay. How can these products be adapted for automation?
Well, because we get a nice stroke of the bushing, depending on the size, but I mean, you're going plus or minus 250 microns. To our larger mandrels, you get plus or minus 700 microns. So that allows for any automation to be able to load the part, unload the part without any issues.
And what kind of improvements have you made for a quick changeover?
Well, we strive for quick changeover, and I guess the best way to say that 60% of the workflow through our factory is 3 parts or less. So we live that problem of having to change over. they developed what we call our central techs. So we use this a lot with our turning equipment, our milling equipment, to go from OD to ID to 3-jaw to magnet to a lot. Now we have incorporated that into our mandrel systems, so that allows customers to either share these mandrels between different machines or be able to swap out different range sizes of mandrels very quickly. So.
Okay. Now we've talked mostly about mandrels. What about chucks? Do you have anything new to talk about there?
Well, on the chuck side, we offer, again, the round and the hex style. A lot of times I see people wanting to do some shaping with shafts. Mm-hmm. So we have OD collet chucks that will take care of that issue. And again, if they had a shaft where they were trying to do some hobbing on it or grinding, we also could take that central tech system and go from a mandrel to a three-jaw chuck or to a collet chuck very quickly and very accurately without having to indicate anything in. So we kind of, again, give that flexibility to a customer if they want it. So.
Can you tell me about some of the most demanding work holding applications you've dealt with and how your tools have helped achieve success for those customers?
Well, because of the way our bushings are made, they're, you see the vulcanization in them, so they're a solid. It's not like a spring steel type bushing on here. So I mean, you won't, when you hit the pedal without a part, it won't go ching or anything like that. But this also gives us 20% more grip force than you would with a spring steel type collet. Mm-hmm. So rigidity always is what you're looking for when you're doing gear cutting on it. And also the other problem I always see is for many years we didn't have a solution for everything under around 14 millimeters.
Okay.
A lot of the pinion gears now that you're seeing, they're going down to the 10 and 12 millimeters, so it was like we just couldn't reach it. Recently, as I found out last week, we came out with a micro mandrel that goes from 5 millimeters up to 18 millimeters. Mm-hmm. And we also incorporate the central tech system in there. So I think that's been my biggest, I live in the automotive industry, so I see where I have to pass on some of those smaller applications. So.
Okay, very good. Is there anything else that you would like to add and share with our audience?
Well, if anyone would like to see some of our product, we're in booth 622.
Very good.
And feel free to come and browse and ask questions.
Larry, thank you for the information. Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.